Hi guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Gibson Show. Today I am joined by Cameram4n from LFO. Cameram4n, welcome in. How you doing?
Hey Gibson, thanks. Thanks for the invite. I'm doing great. Uh, yeah.
hmm So this is a fun one because I've had interviews with players from North America, Europe. I've had players from the
hmm
APAC regions. You're the first ever player from LATAM, from Brazil, that I've ever had on, so this should be fun.
Oh, I'm humble for that. Thanks,
Yeah.
man. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no worries at all. So, for those of you who are watching, we're just going to talk with Cameram4n, learn a little bit about his career and how he got to where he is. First off, though, you've had a very successful spell with FaZe up until now. You look at your Wikipedia, you look at where you've been, you've won a major, you've won the Copa Elite 6, you've come second. You had a pretty good time with FaZe Clan, right?
Yeah. It's a long story. It's a long road.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I achieved a lot of stuff, but I wasn't alone. I always had good teammates as well, and I always been in good team. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be there and to achieve all these things.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, you say that you had a good team, but obviously it takes all five of you guys. So you had a massive part in the success that your team had as well. So
hmm
when you look at it, not a lot of players get the opportunity to win Tier 1 events, and you guys did. Take me back to the Sweden Major back in 2021, and how did it feel to actually win that event?
Oh, that was amazing. I cannot describe the feeling because it's a mix of feelings, and you expect to this day to come like since day one that you play, and when you achieve this kind of things, I think it's like a dream come true, and you don't know how to react about that. And yeah, like overall was everything amazing because we were in the team itself was in a good shape. We were really good, and this thing makes things easier in my opinion. So yeah, it was a great feeling to be there.
Mm-hmm. And then just over a year later, you went to Berlin, and Berlin just lost the final to, Rogue, which have now become Koi. But again, talk me through the feeling there, because obviously in the final in Sweden, it was a LAN event, but there was no crowd. How much of a difference did the crowd have in Berlin, and what was it like having that pocket of Brazil fans? Because up on the balcony shouting at you guys, we had a pocket of all the Brazil fans, a lot of the players who had already been knocked out. What was that event like?
I don't think that the crowd had something about like with the result. Of course, they were cheering for EU. For every kill they got, they were cheering for them. But we are like I'm used to play in front of the crowd. We live in Brazil. There's a ton of people here, and the crowd is insane. So I don't think that give us extra pressure to say. But at the same time, I don't think that we were in the good shape that we were back in Sweden, as you were saying. So maybe that's the reason that we didn't make it.
Mhm. You still made a final though again, and that spirit of success you had. You got third at the Invitational. You came second in Berlin, and you won the major in Sweden. A lot of teams will never get that level of success. A lot of players would bite their hand off to get that opportunity, to get the opportunities you had. But here's where the Brazilian pride kicks in. So at the last six Invitational, they made an announcement that this year the Invitational is going to Rio. Now, I have seen events in Brazil. I've seen that crowd. I've seen what it's like. How badly do you want to get that trip to Rio to get to play?
That's the reason I'm doing everything right now. Just working to make it happen. So that's the main point now.
So then, talking about that road to Rio, you left FaZe and now you're on a team, an LFO team where you and a bunch of very, very good players. You're there, Fantasy's there, players have experience with FaZe, with MIBR. it is an experienced team for the most part. And at the minute, you are looking for an org, and we'll talk a little bit about that more later. But are you happy with how the season has started? Obviously, a brand new roster. You've gone 1-1 so far in Brazil. Do you feel like you've definitely got the potential to qualify for Copenhagen?
Of course, like we know that we are a new team. We slipped up a little bit in the first game, first match. It was 6-1 for us, and we ended up winning 8-6, and we lost a point because of the overtime.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit harsh for us, but it was our first match. I couldn't expect more because we have new players, new blood there, and I know how it feels to be on tier 1 and playing like these huge tournaments, and they did great though. But we need to be more mature. So like I like the mix that we have of veterans and rookies on the team, and we can give them experience, and they can give us their youth, let's say. And yeah, like it wasn't what I expected, to be honest. Like I expected to win these matches and to be the first in the group. We can still be the first in the group, but like if we could lose to anyone, that would be W7M. So I'm not too worried about it. This next weekend, it's gonna be the most important one. So we need to be we need to be aware of what's gonna happen and to be prepared to everything. So we can like be closer to Copenhagen. So yeah, maybe that's the main thing going on right now.
And for the people who might be new to the LFO roster, because a lot of people will know you from your time at FaZe, people will know Fantasy as well. What are the roles that you guys have on the team at the moment? Is it would you describe your style of play as like more rigid, or is it like fluid, like other teams where multiple people are calling shots?
Yeah, like they call a lot of shots. Mostly fantasy, but mostly raps. He was a great addition to the team because I didn't know this side of raps, and he helps me a lot in like organizing stuff. But mostly like it's the three of us. The two rookies are a bit more quiet, and they just like do what they need to do, and but I trust them a lot to give calls. So like that Daffodil is not this guy that's gonna give you calls and this stuff, but Swag, he has something to add in this part of the job, let's say. So I think we have a great teammates, and we just need some time to be prepared to maybe win a sixth invitational.
Well, hopefully you guys make it. I think the big thing for me as well is what I love about your team is every single game in Brazil feels like a little bit of a derby. You know, Raps is obviously going to get the chance to play against MIBR again. I know for a fact that you can't wait to get a game against FaZe, which, if you get it, will likely happen in playoffs because of the way the groups have been seeded. How important is it for you guys to, you know, as kind of the LFO team, but with the names that you have, to make an impact? Because to me, as an outsider looking in, there's no reason why you guys shouldn't have an org. You've got more than enough talent. You've got big names. To me, you guys should be picked up.
Yeah, I know. I share the same thought as you, but overall, we need results. So we know that if we have good results, orgs are gonna come up and show up. So yeah, that's the main thing. That's why I took so long to make this conversation happen, because there's a lot of stuff going on. We're a new team. We have less time than the others. It's like this is our third week as a team, so We haven't been together for a month, to be honest. So it's hard. This is for sure the hardest job that I got in my life, let's say. But I'm really excited to be part of it, and I'm really I have good expectations on this. So yeah.
Well, I know for myself, when I got the offer to cover BR and I saw the teams that were taking part, and you see your Liquids, your W7M, your NIP. When I saw the LFO roster, I was like, this is a good team. Just because there's no org, people might write you off, but to me, you guys have a lot of potential. So obviously, the season is short. We've got this weekend and next weekend. Then you're in either the proper qualifiers or you're on LCQs. So you don't have a lot of time, but hopefully results go your way over the next few days. But I want to step back and I want to step away from this season of BR and I want to talk more about your career. So, to me and anyone who's been watching competitive Siege, you've basically been there since the start. You've been involved in competitive play in some way since I think, 2016, 2017? So why don't you talk to me about your journey into esports, how you got into Siege and then how your career progressed to where you are today?
Well, I've always been a PC kid that played all the time during my spare time. Of course, I had way more spare time back then, but yeah, like I always enjoyed playing FPS. I started playing Counter-Strike since I was 7 years old. My cousin introduced me, and yeah, like we had this fever here in Brazil, mostly in São Paulo here. That was the LAN houses fever. Like everybody meets up in the LAN house and play together. So that was a really nice time to be alive, let's say. So in this fever, to say, introduced me like a closer look into the competitive scene and to watch other people playing on like side by side. And like I was 7 years old, and this thing really hyped me up. And like the like when I got older, I had this feeling, let's say, and this hope that could be the pro player. And I tried to make a team, the Counter Strike team, with my cousin that introduced me back then. And he said, like, no, I'm too old. Like, he's 7 years older than me, so he said, like, no, I'm too old and forget about this. And like at this time it was like 2015, and like Rainbow was just starting, and I was like, okay, let's see what's happening here and see what this game got. And I started watching the beta gameplays of some invited talents or like influencers that they were streaming Twitch. And I was in college back then, and me and my college friend was like we were watching a lot of Rainbow Six live streams, and we really enjoyed the game and how is it played. And when the game launched in December 1st on 2015, I started playing, and I bring one of my college friends here that he used to watch the live streams with me. And I bring him home, and I buy the game. And like since then he said, like, man, you're way better than the guys that we were watching, and like you're just insane. And I started playing, had some exams, like was the period of exams in my college, in my university. And like I didn't have too much time to spend playing the game, but I played like every time that I could. And of course my grades were going down because of Siege, because I was spending too much time playing Siege. And like I started the team in the beginning of 2016 that the competitive scene started in Siege, and started team like really fast in the first. It was the how to say like Go 4 R6 kind of. It wasn't that name. It was called Liga 6 back then, and then I played the first tournament, and I just joined some ranked friends and stuff, and I did amazing. We lost in the semifinals, I think, or like the quarterfinals. But I did amazing. I played amazing, and then I think I was in the radar of some teams playing these Liga Six and stuff. And at the end of 2016, like 1 year later, uh, of course, I played the entire like Elite Six back then, but I wasn't in the top four teams. I was like top five, top six. But at the end of the year, Santos Dexterity called me, and then I joined him like November, and we knew that there were gonna be a qualify for the first six invitational, and we started practicing really hard. I was having exams in school and college again, so that was a tough time for me. But we ended up winning in January, I think, and yeah, that was like when it started for real. Like, because like we had like 200 teams for one spot, and we got the spot, and it was like one of the most amazing feelings I've ever had, to be honest. And when we made to the sixth invitational, we played really good back then, and I think then Brazil was on the scene, and people watched us playing and say like, okay, so these guys are ready to what's coming. So like after that, it's just like tournament after tournament, country after country, and yeah, team after team as well. So it was a great experience like since then.
So the question I have then for you is, you spoke about you playing with your cousin, and your cousin was like, no, 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 I'm too old, I can't play comp. You said he was 7 years older than you. You've gotten to the point now where a lot of your teammates are probably older or younger than 7 years younger than you. You're one of the players that are doing it for us oldies, the guys that are over 25. So do you think that the experience you have and the fact that you are, fully grown now, you're fully mature, are you able to use that to help your teammates and, help the younger generation of players coming through?
Of course, of course. Now I have his age when he declined playing with me, so
And you
yeah.
and you're going,
But
this could have
yeah,
been you. You're saying to your cousin, you could have done it.
yeah. I've said that a lot of times, so I'm not saying that anymore
Yeah.
to him. I think that it's bad for him. But overall, like, yeah, this experience, like, not only the age, but like the experience that I got during these years. I didn't know there was that big difference that it is. Like, I couldn't tell that it could change a lot, but when I see the youngsters playing with us, I realize that I've I've learned so much things that they don't know, and we need to share this experience with them. So yeah, I feel humbled to be on this spot.
So the question I have, and it's something that I always wanted to ask the likes of you, Crying, Nesk, Palu, do you feel like you have to work harder to keep up now with some of the younger players coming through, or is it just a case that you bring so much more to the team because you have that experience, you've seen everything, you've done everything, and you can kind of rest on that? Or do you genuinely feel like you have to work harder?
I don't know if it's right saying aim wise. It's yeah, I need to work harder than them. But even though they work really hard, like you have Daffodil that he plays like a lot of T hunts, even he being the youngster. So like aim wise, I can say yes, but the rest like um I think I have a lot of baggage already, and I just need to show them what's going on and explain to them because like the gameplay, the game style, it changed a lot during like years and seasons. So we just need to know how to win. Now I know that some people really don't know what they need to do to win. Like even though they have the experience, but they don't know like the winning key to like to be on the top. And I think I know that, and I just need to share with them and mixing all these things. I think it's a really good. We can have a really good result. So
So
my experience, it's only like bringing the perfect team to do what needs to be done. So yeah.
So this is where I want to ask you. You spoke about, your career and the baggage and learning through that time. You were part of the Brazilian Revolution. So, you were there at the start when Brazil were known as a hyper aggressive region, really exciting, really fun to watch. But international success never really came. But then about 2.5 years ago, something changed and Brazil teams really started to compete at the very top. You were winning, there was an invitation that was won. You were winning majors, you were in major finals. In that period of time where things did start to change and teams from Brazil really hit sixth gear and started winning, what was the turning point? Like, why do you think that teams from your region just turned on and became world beaters?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know like the what happened. Maybe we were just more prepared during like after all these losses, and maybe we had now I can tell you that we have a better region now because we have great teams and we can have really good scrims. So we have Los One, we have Liquid, we have NIP, we have W7M. Like there in the whole league, like you can say like there's two bad teams like overall, and they are not even bad like compared to other regions. And I think like I don't know, like APAC, they have the same time as we did, but I don't know why we did and they didn't. So I really don't know what happened, like what was the turning point. But at the same time, I believe that the region growth itself it helped a lot us. So maybe that's the main point.
And coming up to that year where Brazil did have the success, did you feel like there was a chip on your shoulder? Like, did you guys feel like we're sick of hearing the same thing over and over again? And you were like, it's time to prove what we can do. Like, did you have a chip on your shoulder, or was it a case where you just believed that if you kept doing what you were doing, success would come?
Back in like 2018, 2017, we were like the font team. And this team, like, it was undefeated here in Brazil. We won every single tournament that we played, and we like I really believed when I stepped in another country that we could win like the tournament really easy. Like, but I don't know what happened. Like maybe the team atmosphere it wasn't that good back then, and maybe that's the reason that we didn't achieve anything like big back then. So that's what I believe, to be honest, because we had really good team, we had really good tactics, we had everything that we needed to lift the trophy. But I don't know what happened back then, but we couldn't make it. I think we got too nervous. I don't know, but maybe it took some time for us to get some experience.
Yeah. I love Brazil doing well, though. Like, the passion Brazilian fans do, the style of play. To me, seeing teams from your region do well. So, can I say our region now that I cast Brazil, or am I still like an EU outsider working? Maybe I need to
Yeah,
work a
you
little.
can say, you can
Yeah,
say.
but I really want to keep seeing teams compete because it is exciting. The passion that I think Brazilian fans bring is probably unmatched. You said yourself, this is where I want to ask you about that. Why are Brazilians so passionate? You look at football, you look at MMA, you look at esports. I don't think I've seen a region where the fans really back their players as much as the Brazilians do.
I don't know why we were born like this, but I think the football it has a really big in this because this is the main sport that we play here, and like we have a lot of teams here, a lot of regions as well, like a lot of tournaments, and we had the best players in the world like Pele and Ronaldo and everyone. So what the theory that I have in my mind is that people love to cheer to whom's winning.
Mm-hmm.
And like since we were winning since the beginning in football, uh, that turned into the country of football, and like I think we got like more like excited to cheer for these teams. And I don't know about like 1930 and 1940 before we won the World Cups, if people were like really hyped up for football or whatever. That happened back then, maybe that's genetics only because we are here and we know how to play football and we love to play it. But like my theory is that we only love who's winning, and we're good in sport like football, and that's why we have this insane crowd here. And now we won in Counter-Strike, so we have a good community there. We were winning Rainbow Six, so we have a big community in Rainbow Six. So if you go back to League of Legends, we didn't make anything. We didn't have any results, so maybe we don't have these crazy people cheering, let's say, and in League of Legends as we have in Counter Strike and football and other winning sports. And this is my theory.
Well, one thing's for sure, if there's any way that I can make it to Rio for the Invitational, I'm going. I want to be in that crowd to see what it's like, because you spoke about growing up with success and winning. I'm Irish. We don't know what winning is. We never win anything. We don't win football. We don't have any. Well, we had a good MMA fighter. We had a good rugby. We have a good rugby team, but we don't have that same massive winning culture that you guys have. So I want to rewind again and talk a bit about you. So your career to date. You've had a really good career so far. Talking to you, it seems like you're, in your mind, you're nowhere near done yet. You've still got lots to go to give. Over the course of it, though, are there any players or coaches who you think really helped you become who you are today?
Of course, there are many. One of them was the guy that called me in Santos Dexterity. That was Gohan. He's known to be like the grumpy leader, the guy like the toxic guy. I think he exceeded sometimes, but overall, I always say that I think he was the right guy at the right time, at the right place, and doing the right thing the way that he was doing. Because like you have a new team and you have one chance and one spot, and you couldn't make any mistakes back then, and we didn't make. So he teach me a lot of stuff, and I evolved like a lot doing this, like following his advices and stuff. So yeah, he was the guy that teach me the most. Of course, I had other guys like Mav and FaZe and Astro and other players that always shared experiences with me, and I can absorb a lot of stuff. And like I always get the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff. And I think this is a really good evolving process, like to be on the best level and the top level that you can be. So yeah.
I suppose for you now, you're kind of hoping that some of the players you play with would say the same about you, you know, that you had a massive impact on them and the players they would go on to become. But speaking of other players, you've played nearly every single top player in the world at this stage in your career. You know, going to all these events, you've had the chance to play against everybody. Who was your favorite ever player or team to actually compete against?
You mean like the hardest one or the
Favorite. So favorite can mean hardest. It could mean easiest. You know, it's just which team did you like to play against, and which player did you like going up against?
Well, back then, the Penta G2 roster was just impossible to beat. I don't know what they had back then, but they were insane. Um, I always like to play Liquid because we had this rivalry, and it's like El Clásico here we call, and it's a different day when we play against them. It's a different mood, it's a different feeling, and I really like to play against them. Even though we lost, like at the beginning they couldn't beat us. We were like 11 wins and they were like one win, and now it's like the opposite. We didn't beat them like for 2 years. Like FaZe just beat them like the last
Yeah,
weekend, right?
and I think that caught some people by surprise because FaZe obviously made the change and people were wondering how that would go. And Volps coming into Liquid obviously is a great move as well. Speaking about Volps though and Julio, last year W7M were crazy. They were really good at the Brazilian level. What was it like playing against them? You know, several times over the course of last year, whenever they were playing as good a Siege as they were, like, where did that W7M team lie in a comparison to the best teams you ever played in your career?
They're really good teams, but to be honest, back in FaZe, we didn't have too much trouble playing against them. I think we kind of countered them in play styles. They always said that it was really hard to play against them. They didn't know what's going on, and yeah, like it was harder to play against Liquid than to play against W7M. Even though W7M was a better team last year, I have this feeling that it was harder to play against Liquid. Their play styles doesn't fit the FaZe one.
Yeah, and of course they've got names that are iconic in Siege as well. You know, you talk about the likes of Nesk and Palu, and everybody in Siege will kind of say, you know, look back with fond memories. And I think a lot of people still hold hope that Liquid can have some success this year, but obviously as a competitor, you're hoping that you can get that success again before they do. But
of course,
I want to step away from Siege now entirely, and I want to talk about a bit more about you, because at the end of the day, this interview is about getting to know you as a person. So when you're not practicing, when you're not playing Siege, what do you do to decompress, or what do you do to relax and have a bit of fun?
well, to be honest, like these days, since we started the new team, the LFO team, I don't have too much spare time because we practice and then we have mistakes and then we need to change stuff and see what's going on. But like when I have spare time, I like to have some time with my fiance and to watch some movies and series or whatever. And like outside of that, like my favorite spare time, let's say, if I go to a tournament and then I have this time to do this, it's a snowboard. I know that we don't have here in Brazil, but we, like, since 2014, my family went to Argentina, and we tried that back then, and since then I really loved and really enjoyed. And like, if I have a tournament like in Canada or whatever, I extend it a little bit and then do some snowboard. This is my favorite sport.
And are you good? That's the question. Are you good at it?
No, not really. I just know how to ride. Like I
Mhm.
don't do like tricks and stuff.
I saw some videos of the talent from the Invitational going snowboarding and skiing, and some of them were the Australians. I think Mandy and Dev went, and I know just like the Brazilians, I don't think they've got a lot of snow in Australia. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you spoke about your fiance and you spoke about your family earlier on as well. What do they make about your career in esports? Like, were your parents skeptical at the start, or did they back you? Did you have to kind of win and attend events to prove them that this is something you could do?
Yeah, they were a little bit skeptical because I spent too much time in front of the PC screen, and but they were always how can I say, like they understand me somehow. And when I bring my dad to Elite Six tournament, I wasn't playing back then.
Mhm.
Like I was playing, but I didn't make the top four, and the top four I played on land here in Brazil. And I bring my dad there and show him the event, and he saw like I think it was like 1,500 people there at the time. And yeah, like it was a shocking experience to him because he didn't know that it was that big, and that the crowd was so like they are so full of energy like that. And when I showed this experience to him, I think that kind of changed his mind a little bit. And when this team that was playing back then, it was Santos Dexterity, called me in. He knew what's going on, and he was like, "Okay, I watched this guy play in front of a crowd, so this thing's serious." And like he was the guy that called me like to quit college because I didn't finish. So I was in the fourth year. We have 5 years of graduating, and I was in the fourth year of chemical engineering college. And like he was the guy that, like as I told you, like I didn't have good grades anymore because of Siege. I spent too much time playing Siege, and he was the guy that called me and said like, you get to choose what you want, and you can do both. And then I choose Rainbow Six.
And you've not looked back since. As I said, you're a major
Nah,
champion. You've done really well at SI. It's been a great career, and I do hope that you continue to have success. So
thanks.
I think last thing I want to say then is, with the season really mid swing now, there's only a couple of play days left. What are your own personal goals now for 2023 in Siege?
As I said, my personal goal is to make it to Six Invitational. To make it happen, we need to have good results right now. And I know that there's a lot of stuff to do, but I'm prepared to everything. I had a good Siege school, let's say, in the 7 years, and I think I know what I need to do to be on top again, and hopefully we can make it.
Mhm. I hope so too. So, cameraman, anything you want to say to your fans, or fans of your teammates going into the last few playdays?
Well, just expect a lot from us. We are here to win. We're not here only to make fun of things and to like be the underdogs. We are here to be the champs, and we're gonna do anything possible to make it happen. So you guys are cheering for us, cheering for me or the team. Like there's a lot of people that cheer for me, like anywhere I go, and I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate the love that you guys give for the team, for me, and for whatever supporting me. And thanks for everyone. Thanks for the FaZe fans and everyone. And yeah, we're gonna make it.
I hope so. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. If anyone watching wants to keep up with Cameraman, it's at Cameraman with a 4, obviously, instead of an A. If you want to
Yeah.
follow on Twitter, keep up with the BR6 will be on the official Twitch channel. You can watch it in Portuguese or in English, depending on which way you prefer. But if you've enjoyed the podcast, make sure to hit like and subscribe as well. Cameraman, It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.